Zoritsa, welcome to #World Food Day.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Zoritsa, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to this point?
Very difficult because I had several lives. So in this life, I am UN officer at the World Tourism Organization, serving people. And in doing so, we have come across, and we are facing, as you all know, really a context in which you are evolving in polycrisis. And one of the crises and one of the aspects that is very worrying is issues related to climate change. And in the course of trying to support, on the one side, government, on the other side, private sector companies, because tourism is trade, and tourism is one of the main trade sector. It was the third export earning category on 2019, after fuels and chemicals. So it's a huge sector, but composed of many industries. So you have hotels, you have restaurants, you have recreation, you have national parks, you have as well travel, meaning that you have airplanes, you have trains, you have all kind of industries. We went through a huge crisis with COVID. And during COVID, we saw many people suffering for many reasons, because they were isolated, they were not having the means to sustain their livelihoods and so on. Now, all the combination come to some sort of a set of solutions that is related, on the one side, looking at the lens of reducing our impact on the planet, and on the other side, trying to support livelihoods and having a more humanitarian approach. We have found that because food and food waste in the tourism sector, because of this amplitude, is a great opportunity, because it allows us to act independently without a big knowledge. However, we know as well that 20 to 40% of food is wasted in the sector, but not all is waste. Part of it is definitely a surplus. So because it is a surplus, it deserves to be distributed with decency, and it can really support food security. So that path has led us to where we are today.
Can I ask you, what's concerning you most around the issue of food? I mean, the World Food Programme, of course, one of your agencies, won the Nobel Peace Prize in relation to food. So clearly, food and peace go hand in hand. I want to ask you, in relation to food, what concerns you most? What are the great challenges that we face at this particular point?
I think that food is maybe not where it should be. I explain myself. On the one side, we have an abundance of food and an excess of food, which is transformed and appreciated by many people. And on the other side, we have many people that don't have food. And when you speak about the connection of peace and food, it is exactly that. It's like, how can you possibly think about any global challenging issues when you are hungry? You're not going to speak and to think of climate change. You're not going to look into climate action. You're not going to look at biodiversity. You need to feed yourself. And I think that principle is a fundamental principle in the approach that we are trying to undertake.
Can I ask you, UN Tourism, what kind of practical steps are you taking to be supportive of the issues that we're facing?
I felt that it was not sufficient that we only call upon our sisters agencies such as United Nations Environment Programme, because it has to do with sustainable consumption and production. They as well working on food, or FAO, which is the organization responsible for production of food and agriculture, or IFA, that is the one on the humanitarian side. I think the combination and the responsibility lies in all of us. And this is the reason why I wanted to have a system mapping. And who better than the people I had the privilege of meeting on my journey of a daily life and daily work, the Cambridge Center for Resilience and Sustainable Development. I found that that was the perfect partner to start and build the initiative to transform food systems in tourism. When we were having that ambition, of course, we need as well resources and capacity to initiate such process. We always need partners. We reached out, and I reached out to the TUI Care Foundation, who was thrilled and very interested in supporting the initiative. So this alliance between the three entities, very different from their, I can say, scope and role. The ambition is really to co-create a sustainable and circular food system across the tourism value chain, which I was mentioning earlier, which entails really many different sectors. So we know that the tourism sector, holds a unique convening power to drive systemic change across the value chains. So this system mapping is offering us the opportunity to unlock the necessary policy on one hand, and to provide inspiration or a model for new business models. I explain myself, and I want to illustrate that. When we have planes landing in a country, and when they still hold an important amount of food which is not being touched, they are obliged to dump it. That is something that for some destination, when the plane arrives, is a total waste, because people are in need of food. Now, this is tied to health issue, to regulations, and to policies. We, as a UN entity, because we are connected to the government and to other agencies in other area of influence, we want to work on those policies to try to unlock. The same for new business model. The way we produce food, and that is where we will be calling upon other partners which are more inclined and knowledgeable in the farming part. That food that is produced needs to reach the right place to be used. So the distribution between the producer and the consumer, which is a business, as well needs to be analyzed. In the same way, the processing of the food in hospitality, for example, or any business in tourism, needs to be as well very carefully looked at. And on the other hand, that is what I was mentioning earlier, as we estimate 20 to 40% of food waste in the sector. By the way, this number applies as well to private household. Part of that food can be redistributed. Again, there is a cost of redistribution, or there is as well regulation. So this enables as well the creation of more different social enterprises, but as well to use technology for being able to reach out the possible food surplus that is available. And then finally, we want to really reduce tourism food-related carbon footprint, because you all know that food is representing 1/3 of world's global emissions, and food requires about 70% of use of water of water that is available as well to be produced. So any reduction really has a huge impact on the reduction of the carbon footprint. Now, on the food security, this is as well the other pillar that we want to tackle, as I was explaining. But as well, there are as well opportunities on the bioeconomy, because the food waste that is remaining can be as well a very interesting component to produce des engrais. Sorry, the word is missing in English. Fertilizers or these kind of things, but as well to produce energy. For example, in island states, especially in the Caribbean, where the sargassum is important, some of the pilots have identified the opportunity to create energy by mixing food waste with sargassum. So these initiatives are singled out. But what we want to do is to really try to do a proper mapping so that we can prototype and we can have opportunities to scale up with other partners. So our main call is to really invite international organizations, government, businesses, but as well the civil society to join us on the journey. And I think there is no better forum than the World Food Day to do so.
Thank you, Zoritsa. Well, it's absolutely fascinating everything that you're doing at UN Tourism. Can I ask you, if people want to find out more information, where would they go?
You can go on our website, UN Tourism, or you can go on the webpage of the Center for Resilience and Sustainable Development of Cambridge.
Zoritsa, we wish you the very best with your incredibly important work, and thank you for today.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, and thank you for having us.